So the buzzword of the week this week is performance buy, and I thought it would be a good idea to go through what actually is a performance buy, when did it start, why did it start, and why is it kind of coming back into the frame these days? Of course, because Rybakina has spoken out against the performance buy and not knowing that it was actually a rule that's been in place for a while, this whole debate has sparked up. So what is a performance buy according to the WTA rulebook? As determined by the WTA rulebook on page 519 in the glossary, performance buy, the type of buy awarded to a player based on her previous week's performance as determined by the WTA when approving the calendar and draw sizes. But also if we go to page 62 of the WTA rulebook, under buys, the rulebook states those positions allocated in the draw to buys based on the draw size of the tournament. Buys will be given to seeded players in descending order. Notwithstanding the foregoing, there will be 4 buys awarded at the Beijing WTA 1000 event to the semi-finalists of the Wuhan WTA 1000 tournament. Any buys not used by the semi-finalists will not be awarded. So why was the performance buy added to the WTA rulebook in 2009? Well, in 2009, the WTA brought out a roadmap that was going to change the entire face of the WTA and some big changes to the Asian swing in particular. So on the WTA calendar, it was always that September window that had the Asian tournaments, as it is today. And Tokyo and Beijing were always back-to-back. But with the 2009 WTA reforms, it was big tournaments in 2008 that got demoted. These included Charleston, Moscow, and Berlin. And in their place in 2009, Madrid, Cincinnati, and China would be promoted, with China and Madrid becoming 2 of the 4 key events on the WTA Tour. But this unfortunately meant that Tokyo and Beijing would be back-to-back. In order to make it fair for the players that did well in Tokyo, they bought in the performance buy for players that were playing in Beijing the week after. And as mentioned before, we've actually had this in effect since 2009 to 2019, and now it's coming back now that we're back on the Asian swing. So in this graphic, you can see from 2009 to 2019, the players that got a performance buy. The 4 players that actually went on to win the event after receiving a performance buy: Wozniacki in 2010, Radwanska in 2011, Muguruza in 2015, and the last player to win an event thanks to a performance buy was actually Caroline Garcia in 2017, who sort of kicked off this whole conversation by receiving a performance buy this week. So very interesting how things have sort of come full circle. You can see there are also a lot of unseeded players getting a performance buy because they made the semi-finals of the tournament the week before. So it hasn't been an isolated incident where it's been used once or twice. It was used for a decade before COVID ruined the Asian swing and stopped us going to China for the past 4 years. And that's sort of where this controversy has come up, because of course we don't have Wuhan on the tour anymore. Guadalajara took its place, which is why we're getting a 2023 version. It's a little bit different to previous versions. So how does it work nowadays? So this year in particular, because we are going back to China, we've replaced the Wuhan Open with the Guadalajara tournament, and that is the one that counts now for the performance buys for Tokyo. So the players that did well in Guadalajara this year and made the semi-finals got a performance buy for the next week's event in Tokyo. But also, there's going to be 4 performance buys for Beijing, which has always been the case, but it depends on what happens in Tokyo. So we have Tokyo happening this week. The 4 players that make the semi-finals, if they play Beijing next week, they will get a performance buy. And that doesn't matter if you're the number 1 in the world, or if you're totally unseeded, or even a qualifier. But let me know down in the comments below if there's anything that you need me to clarify in terms of performance buys. That's pretty much the entire history of it, why it was created, when it was created, who benefits the most from it. And it's going to be a thing we're going to use for the future as well, because of course the Asian swing is back, I guess, in full swing, normal again. So we're going to have this next year and the year after and the year after. So it's going to be an ongoing rule. But hopefully that kind of clarifies things and gives you a better understanding of what a performance buy actually is.